The art of connecting. If you're interested in building a huge and influential network for your business, social, or charitable reasons, then you're not going to want to miss this show. Hi, I'm Kean Wong and welcome to the new Millionaire. Today's guest is Michael Colasurdo, the Treasurer of Rotary International, a 105-year-old non-profit service organization with 33,000 clubs, 1.2 million business and professional leaders in over 200 countries and geographical areas around the world, dedicated to making a difference. Michael, thanks for being on our show.
Good to be with you.
Now, interestingly, you started out as a history teacher before you went on to found Mulberry Street, a family-run, very successful deli, Italian deli with over 40 employees, and now you're also on the board of one of the most well-respected NGOs in the world. In many ways, this is the classic tale, in my opinion, of the great American dream coming true, one of success and giving back. Now, how did you discover your passion, and tell us a bit about the key people who influenced and inspired you on your journey?
Well, Kean, the most influential people in my life were my mom and dad. Mom and pop, that is. And my mother and father were immigrants. Actually, my father was born here, but raised in Italy. And when he came back, worked as a laborer, 37 years on a railroad. Wow. So I was very impressed with how hard he worked. He was the hardest working man I know. And also my extended family, having gone to Catholic elementary school, the nuns, they were very, very influential in my life. And of course, going through high school, I had a little segue there in high school. I left school, or was asked to leave school. Drop out.
And then you came back in.
I was a high school dropout. But I knew it wasn't for me. I had to get back. I got back to school, set my sights on graduation. And of course, my sights found my beautiful wife, Anne. And we were dating in high school, and it was interesting that as we were in her father's car, she was dropping some coins into the glove box, and I'm asking, why is she doing that? She said, well, this is for your college education. I said, well, I'm not going to college. She said, well, if you don't go to college, I can't marry you. So I guess that was my great decision.
Not a hard decision.
Not hard at all. It was great. I chose Anne and college rather than just looking for some odd job.
What did you study?
I studied history. I was very influenced by a history teacher by the name of Mr. Donovan at Dickinson High School. Great guy, and I just knew I would be so comfortable as a history teacher, and I was. I graduated from Jersey City State College, and it's interesting how I graduated because in my senior year, actually, Anne and I got married between sophomore and junior year. And of course, by December, our firstborn came along.
That was quick.
Junior. And we ran out of money. No money to be had, and I was going full time. So I had to go to the president of the college and tell him I was leaving. And he knew me a bit. And he looked at me, he said, you cannot leave. I said, well, I have no money, I need to leave. So he said, well, here. He handed me 2 checks. They were grants that could be given at his discretion. And I was just shocked.
Wow.
And it wasn't for him, Dr. Gilligan, I probably would not have graduated at that time. And then, of course, following my graduation, I got a job teaching at Colonia Senior High School.
And you taught for what? How many years?
I taught for 7 years.
7 years. And what led you to get into the deli business, I guess?
Well, all the time of high school, college, and teaching, I was always working the second job. Never made enough as a teacher at that time. We had 2 children, and so I always had that second job. And the place I was working at was a father and son operation, and the son decided to leave the father. And Steve, the father, said to me, Mickey, you buy the store. I said, I don't have the money. And so another good friend of mine, talk about having people help you in your life, another good friend of mine said, Mike, you own a home, you've got equity. We can give you an equity line,
and
you can use that as a deposit. And lo and behold, I borrowed money on my house, which I bought the business, which was a distance away from where I was living. And so I was traveling an hour and a half to and from, so it's 3 hours on the road, 10 hours in the store. So that was a 13-hour day every day, except Sunday. But it was a 7-day week, 9 years, working 7 days a week. And so I turned around and I did buy that store, but for about a year later, I had an opportunity to buy a store where I lived in Brook Township. And so I called the son. I said, "You're going back to your dad?" He said, "No, I'm not." I said, "Yes, you are." I said, "I have an opportunity to get a store in my hometown.
In your area.
And I don't need to travel and spend 18-hour days.
Wow.
So you're going back to your dad." He said, "No." I said, "Well, on Monday morning, you show up. If not, I will sell off everything and there be."
Wow.
And no, he showed up. He gave me the money. I gave the money to buy this other store. And I had a store in Brick Township where I lived.
Where you live.
We started out.
Briefly, how did you get into Rotary?
In Rotary was an interesting thing because having left teaching, I was asked to speak at various historical societies. And my banker was a Rotarian and noticed what I was doing. He said, "Why not come to our club?" Matter of fact, July, this was the bicentennial year, 1976, we want you to talk about the Declaration of Independence.
Perfect.
Great. So I went, I gave a little speech on that, and an hour later they want me to join
They
Rotary.
wanted you to join Rotary. And the rest is history, as they say.
The rest is history, I always say.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, let's talk about the key lessons that you learned about the importance of authentic relationship building and how this was one of the keys to your success in creating a phenomenally thriving Italian deli. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The New Millionaire. Now, Michael, your thriving Italian deli, Mulberry Street Italian Food Center in Ocean County, New Jersey. Tell us how that got started 30 odd years ago.
Well, it actually came from the customers. We were actually a meat market and deli, but not so much Italian specialties. And they would look at me and say, "Well, you're Italian. Why don't you have mozzarella? Why don't you have sopressata?"
These are your
and those
customers.
Italian delicacies. These are the customers telling me. And of course, you think about that. And then one day, a fellow walked into my store by the name of Emilio Canillo, a good friend of mine now. And he was a wholesaler, and he was looking to sell me Italian specialties. And once again, when I saw him and it started connecting, you better start listening to your customers. And I learned from that. And I learned also that there are two types of customers: those that are loyal customers and those that are satisfied. Now, satisfied customers will come to you at their convenience and shop, but a loyal customer literally owns the store. It's my deli, my butcher, my lawyer, my accountant. And I realized that the customers own the store. And from that point on, I listened to everything they had to say to me. And if they wanted something that I did not have, I'd order it, no matter what, even if they asked once. Because there are other people that will walk in and say, "Wow, I didn't know you handled that." I said, "Yes, I do." And suddenly, listening to my customers, I grew and grew to the point that after 10 years, okay, I needed to move to a larger location.
And that's when you moved to Mulberry Street.
Exactly.
So tell
I
us
started
about
out in a
that.
small strip center, and then I built Mulberry Street, having realized, of course, that there was one occasion where there was a little tiff with the landlord, and I realized that after 10 years of building a business, what was I building? I owned nothing if the landlord didn't extend the lease. So I realized I needed to build my own building. And of course, I had joined Rotary, and a good friend of mine, my architect, Paul Barlow, he knew what my dream was, and it came from my mother, who went shopping with my mother downtown Jersey City. You went from store to store, meat market, deli, fish market, produce market, and what I wanted was a building that emulated that had all the look of all the various stores, but on the inside, one beautiful Italian supermarket. And so that was it, and I hooked up with Paul, and he designed it, and we found the property, and we bought the property, and we started to build the building. But then the bids came in very high, and my friend in Rotary, who was the banker, committed to X amount of dollars of credit, and the bid went over that, and I was quite dejected.
Wow.
Matter of fact, I just went home and
cried?
I cried. I couldn't believe it. All these years of planning and couldn't do it. And so Paul called me and said, "We'll do it." I said, "I don't know, Paul."
You mean do it yourself?
Well, that's what he was suggesting. I said, I don't know, Paul, I can't do it. He said, we will build it ourselves. We'll sub it out.
So he had all the contacts.
And we had contacts in Rotary, outside of Rotary.
And so it was partly through the connections.
I have been blessed, very blessed. I've done things I didn't know I could do, but I could not do them without the connections.
The friendship.
And the friendships, right. And so we built Mulberry Street in 1984.
And your journey in Rotary, some people have described your rise to being a director and treasurer as meteoric. Tell us that journey.
Well, Kean, I don't describe it as meteoric. In Rotary, I found myself with many, many business and professional leaders in my club and beyond the club, and I was more impressed with them and what they did for those communities. Our motto is service above self, and I cannot do what needs to be done by myself. But as part of the organization of Rotary, we're able to dig wells in Africa. We're able to do eye surgeries in the Dominican Republic, a mission that I was part of. And that was my thrill, my passion, that I was part of an organization that made a difference in the world. And in terms of community, I view community throughout the world. You know, we look at our own communities and then we look at international. To me, all projects in our organization are community-based projects. John Adams once said that there are only two kinds of people in the world, those who require the commitment of others and those who bear the commitment. We, Rotarians, bear the commitment of service above self. And that was my passion. Now, in terms of my rise, I guess when they asked me to do something, I did it to the best of my ability. My presidency and my club, I did with passion. And I guess they said to me, well, it's time for you to be governor. I don't know.
Governor of?
Governor of the district.
Of a district, okay.
Yeah, there's like 530 governors in the world. And after I was governor, I was beyond the club and beyond the district, and we were working in a zone and training. And I loved it. I guess from my history background,
you were
I
perfect for
enjoyed
that.
getting up in front of them and helping out and teaching. And so I was involved in training and all kinds of other assignments. And after 10 years, there was an opportunity to put my name in for director, and I did. And there was a selection process, and I'm humbled because many, many people just as deserving, possibly more qualified, I don't know. But here I am, director. And then the president of Rotary International asks me to be treasurer. Well, that's how we got to where I'm at, but basically, I'm a Rotarian from the Brick Township Rotary Club.
Terrific. It's obvious by listening to your story how important being connected is in life, whether it's family or in business or helping, the community. It's not necessarily what you know, as they say, but who you know and who knows you and how well people know your integrity and your character. Let's take a break, and when we come back, tell us more about the incredible organization that Rotary International is and what has made it one of the most influential service organizations, changing literally billions of lives around the globe. Don't go away. Today's special guest here has devoted the last 25 years of his life to Rotary International, and in the process has been an inspiration to literally thousands of business, professional and community leaders across the globe. Michael, tell us a bit about Rotary International and how they've been able to build such a powerful network of business and professional leaders dedicated to making a difference.
Kean, Rotary was established by Paul Harris over 100 years ago, 1905. And at the time, it was about fellowship. He invited 3 other business and professional leaders to join him. And from that day, it evolved into the greatest service organization in the world, consisting of 1.2 million business and professional leaders. That could not have been sustained without basic core values of fellowship, which was the original intention, service, which it evolved into, diversity. We have the most diverse organization in the world. We're not political, we're not religious, but we're truly dedicated and devoted to our communities. And we value our differences. And that is important.
So what are some of the recent projects Rotary have been working on?
We, of course, are very involved in eradicating polio. We started more than 20 years ago. We've worked painstakingly throughout the world. We've eradicated 99%. It's still endemic in 4 countries: India, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Nigeria. And what is truly impressive to me is I had the opportunity to meet with Bill Gates, who, by the way, has given $355 million. Now, he initially gave us $100 million, which we needed to match, which we did, or we are doing. And in the second check of $255 million, we're matching another $100 million. So we have a $200 million challenge. When I met Bill Gates in San Diego, when he spoke to us at the assembly, we were all impressed, in awe of him joining with us in this effort. But what impressed me most is when he said, "I will not leave you. I will be with you to the end." And he himself has gone to India and other parts of the world in helping us in this effort. And we have inoculated 2 billion children in our polio campaign. And it's not that we cannot eradicate it. We can and we will. It's a question of access.
Right, a matter of time.
And so we are in the final stages of accomplishing this tremendous feat.
That is quite phenomenal. Now, as Treasurer of Rotary, what do you actually do?
As Treasurer of Rotary International, I work very closely with the CFO of our organization. I'm on the finance committee. And of course, in preparation of all the reports for our website and our reports to the board of Rotary International, I liaison, so to speak, with the various departments and the board.
And the board and the president. You work very closely with the president.
I work very closely with the president, the vice president. I'm on the executive committee of the board of RI. And
travel-wise, it's been very difficult to get you onto the show. I'm so glad you could make it this weekend. How often do you travel, and what do you do when you're traveling around the world?
Well, there are many venues that I will be asked to attend and speak at. For example, when we're training incoming presidents, club presidents.
And how much travel do you do a year on average?
I would say in 12 months we're traveling a good 2/3 of the year.
Wow, that is a lot of fun as well, I guess.
Yeah, it's up.
Now, let's talk about from a principal point of view, the importance of, people talk about the importance of networking, but in terms of the underlying principles of success when it comes to building an effective network, and a lot of viewers are wondering, how do you build effective communities and tribes and network effectively? What were your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the greatest asset that one has is his relationships. His relationships with his family, his friends, his community. And I believe that Rotary is a perfect example of that. And so there is that attraction that you have amongst your fellow business and professional leaders. And I think that Rotary has helped me a great deal in connecting with people from different vocations. And in that diversity, I've learned quite a bit. And I think that in our sharing with one another, service above self, in other words, we help one another. But in helping one another, you're now able to help those in your community. And so I think that that's the essence of networking. Because initially, you think of networking that you want to benefit your business. But when you reach out and you offer yourself in service of others, that's the greatest form of networking, because now you will attract much, much more in your giving, in your generosity. It comes back.
Now tell us about the plans you have after you complete your term as director and treasurer, which happens when?
June 30 is the last day, and on July 1, it's a good time to go to the beach.
Go to the beach. Why
go
not?
to the beach, play golf. Seriously, I would be available to do anything that I'm asked to do. I love Rotary. I'll continue to be in Rotary all my life, and whatever comes around in terms of opportunity, I will be there. Outside of Rotary, I have a passion for social entrepreneurship. Actually, I have a passion for sharing all the experiences that I've had in my business career. And as I look at our country, our economy.
What do we need as a nation or as developed countries going through this massive recession? What's your
mentoring? We need to mentor. We need to help the new generations. Kean, civilization is only a generation deep. If you lose the kids, we lose the future. And we are the future in that it is our commitment or our obligation to help them, to nurture them, to teach, to mentor. And I love to work with vocational schools, young people who want to pursue certain careers. At one time in Rotary, when I was governor, I pressed for a mentoring program where Rotarians, successful business and professional people, would meet with the kids who were interested in those vocations. And I think we need more of that. And that leads us to the whole idea of social entrepreneurship.
What is your definition of social entrepreneurship?
Social entrepreneurship is not just aspiring to be successful, money. I don't think it's about the money. Success is not something you pursue, it's something you attract by what you become. And when you are concerned with integrity, concerned with service to others, when you value diversity, when you value the differences, and you realize that your community needs to be left with a profit, not just a profit in your checkbook, but a profit in your community, in your family, in your children, in those that you served. And that's more important to me, that it's better when you leave it than what you had when you started with it. And so social entrepreneurship to me is, yes, sharing with one another to succeed, okay? But more importantly, giving back.
And building.
And assuring the future.
Of the community.
Yeah, and making sure that, for example, my employees, if they want to start their own businesses, it's a wonderful thing because they've looked upon me as a model. And you know what I say to them? Do the best you can and don't look at it just like as a job, because those habits you develop when you go into your own business, when you go into your own success story, you will take those principles of success with you. But if you take an attitude where it's only $1 and I'm making money for you and I really don't care, you take that with you. So we need to teach the young people the proper principles, morals, right, wrong, ethics.
Absolutely. That is just so true, and especially so needed as a message for everyone out there listening in today's economy. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Thanks so much for being our guest today, but probably more importantly, for changing the world and making it a better place.
Thank you, Kean.
Thank you. And that's all for another edition of The New Millionaire. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.